Picture this. You're standing in your shower, looking down at the drain, and there's another clump of hair staring back at you. Sound familiar? If you're over 50, you've probably noticed your hair isn't what it used to be. Maybe your part is getting wider, or you're seeing more scalp when you look in the mirror. Here's what's really going to shock you though. That healthy handful of mixed nuts you've been snacking on every afternoon, the ones your doctor told you were heart healthy, they might be the very thing that's accelerating your hair loss. We've been sold this lie by the food industry that all nuts are created equal, that they're all these magical superfoods that'll keep us young and vibrant. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. Some of the most popular nuts in American grocery stores are loaded with compounds that trigger inflammation, mess with your hormones, and literally choke the life out of your hair follicles. Today, I'm going to expose the 4 hair growth heroes hiding in plain sight and the 4 silent saboteurs that are probably sitting in your pantry right now. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which nuts to embrace and which ones to avoid if you want to keep your hair thick, strong, and healthy well into your golden years. Before we dive into the specific nuts, you need to understand what's actually happening to your hair as you age, especially if you're dealing with the hormonal changes that come after 50. Think of your hair follicles like little factories. These factories need 3 things to produce strong, healthy hair: proper blood flow, the right nutrients, and a calm, inflammation-free environment. But here's where it gets tricky. As we age, our bodies start producing more of a hormone called DHT, dihydrotestosterone. This hormone is like a bully that goes around shrinking their hair follicles, making them produce thinner and weaker hair until they eventually just give up completely. For women going through menopause, declining estrogen levels make this problem even worse, because estrogen normally helps protect your follicles from DHT damage. Now, imagine inflammation as a traffic jam on a Los Angeles freeway during rush hour. When your body's inflamed, nutrients can't get to where they need to go, blood flow gets restricted, and those hair follicle factories start shutting down one by one. Here's where most people get it wrong. They think hair loss is just genetics, so they give up. But research shows that what you eat can either feed this inflammatory fire or help put it out. The standard American diet, loaded with processed foods and the wrong types of fats, is like pouring gasoline on that fire. Certain nuts contain compounds that can either dramatically increase inflammation and hormone disruption, or provide the exact nutrients your hair follicles are desperately craving. The difference between choosing the right nuts and the wrong ones could literally be the difference between keeping your hair and losing it. Let's start with the good news. The 4 hair growth heroes that should be your new best friends. Brazil nuts are absolutely incredible for hair growth, and here's why. Just 2 Brazil nuts contain your entire daily requirement of selenium. That's about 140 micrograms in less than half an ounce. Selenium is like a bodyguard for your hair follicles. It's a powerful antioxidant that directly fights the free radicals that damage hair follicles and accelerate aging. But here's the really cool part. Selenium helps regulate thyroid function, and an underactive thyroid is one of the leading causes of hair loss in people over 50. Studies have shown that selenium deficiency is directly linked to hair loss, and when people correct this deficiency, they often see dramatic improvements in hair thickness and growth rate within just a few months. The selenium in Brazil nuts also help your body produce glutathione, which is your body's master antioxidant. Just remember, with Brazil nuts, more isn't better. Stick to just 2 nuts per day because too much selenium can actually be toxic. Walnuts are the only nut that contains a significant amount of alpha-linoleic acid, which is a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. A quarter cup of walnuts gives you about 2.5 grams of these precious omega-3s. Here's why this matters for your hair. Omega-3s are natural anti-inflammatories. They help calm down that inflammatory fire we talked about earlier, but they also do something really special. They help improve blood circulation to your scalp. Better blood flow means more nutrients and oxygen reaching your hair follicles. Research has shown that people who consume adequate omega-3s have significantly thicker hair and less hair loss compared to those who don't. The omega-3s in walnuts also help your body balance your hormone levels, which can help counteract some of that DHT damage.
A 1-ounce serving of almonds, that's about 23 almonds, provides about 37% of your daily vitamin E needs and a good dose of biotin. Biotin is probably the most famous hair vitamin, and for good reason. It's essential for keratin production, which is the protein that makes up your hair. Without adequate biotin, your hair becomes brittle, thin, and prone to breaking. But vitamin E is the real secret weapon in almonds. It's a fat-soluble antioxidant that specifically protects the lipids in your cell membranes from damage. Your hair follicles are particularly vulnerable to this type of damage because they're constantly dividing and growing. Studies have shown that people with hair loss often have significantly lower levels of vitamin E in their scalp tissue. When they supplement with vitamin E or increase their dietary intake through foods like almonds, many see improvements in hair density and growth rate. Almonds also contain magnesium, which helps regulate stress hormones. Since chronic stress is a major contributor to hair loss, especially in people over 50, this is another way almonds support healthy hair growth. Now, pumpkin seeds aren't technically nuts, but they're often grouped with nuts, and they're absolute game changers for hair health. A quarter cup of pumpkin seeds contains about 5 grams of zinc and a compound called beta-sitosterol. Zinc is crucial for hair growth because it helps with protein synthesis and cell division, both essential processes for healthy hair follicles. But here's the really exciting part. Beta-sitosterol has been shown in studies to actually block the enzyme that converts testosterone to DHT. Remember, DHT is that bully hormone that shrinks your hair follicles. By naturally blocking its production, pumpkin seeds can help prevent further hair loss and may even help reverse some of the damage that's already been done. Pumpkin seeds also contain iron, which is essential for carrying oxygen to your hair follicles, and magnesium, which helps reduce stress and inflammation. Now, you might be tempted to run to your local grocery store and grab a big container of mixed nuts. Stop right there. That innocent-looking trail mix or mixed nut container likely contains the next 4 items I'm about to reveal, the silent saboteurs that could be undoing all the good work of those hair growth heroes. These are the nuts that the food industry loves to promote as healthy, but they're actually loaded with compounds that can accelerate hair loss, increase inflammation, and disrupt your hormones. Some of them are so common in the American diet that you probably eat them without even thinking about it. First up, we have peanuts. And here's the first shock. Peanuts aren't even nuts. They're legumes that grow underground, and that's where the problems start. Because peanuts grow in the soil, they're highly susceptible to contamination with aflatoxins, which are toxic compounds produced by mold. These aflatoxins are so dangerous that the FDA has set limits on how much can be present in peanut products, but even small amounts can cause inflammation and liver stress. But that's not the worst part. Peanuts are loaded with omega-6 fatty acids and very low in omega-3s. The typical American already consumes way too many omega-6s. We're talking about a ratio of 20-1 or even 30-1 omega-6 to omega-3 when it should be closer to 4-1. This omega-6 overload creates a pro-inflammatory state in your body. It's like constantly having a low-grade fire burning inside you, and your hair follicles are some of the first casualties. Peanuts also contain lectins, which are anti-nutrients that can interfere with nutrient absorption and increase intestinal permeability. When your gut is compromised, you can't absorb the nutrients your hair follicles need to stay healthy. And if you're eating peanut butter, which is a staple in most American households, you're also getting added sugars and oils that further increase inflammation. Cashews might seem innocent, but they're actually one of the most problematic nuts for people dealing with hair loss. Here's why. Cashews are extremely high in copper and relatively low in zinc. This creates a copper-zinc imbalance that can wreak havoc on your hormones. Too much copper can increase estrogen levels and interfere with thyroid function. For women going through menopause who are already dealing with hormonal fluctuations, this can accelerate hair loss. Copper excess has also been linked to increased anxiety and stress, which further contributes to hair loss through elevated cortisol levels. Cashews are also one of the nuts most likely to be rancid by the time you eat them. The high fat content makes them prone to oxidation, especially if they've been roasted and salted. Rancid fats are highly inflammatory and can damage your hair follicles at a cellular level. Plus, most cashews sold in the U.S. are processed with chemicals and heated to high temperatures, which destroys any beneficial nutrients they might have contained. Pistachios are another nut that's heavily contaminated with aflatoxins. In fact, they're one of the most contaminated nuts on the market. These mold toxins don't just cause inflammation, they can actually damage your DNA and interfere with protein synthesis. Since your hair is made of protein, anything that interferes with protein synthesis is going to directly impact hair growth and quality. Pistachios are often heavily salted and processed, which adds to their inflammatory potential. The high sodium content can also interfere with nutrient absorption and increase water retention, which can affect blood flow to your scalp. Many pistachios sold in the U.S. are also treated with chemicals to enhance their color and prevent spoilage. These chemicals can accumulate in your body over time and contribute to overall toxic load. Now, this one might surprise you because macadamia nuts are often marketed as a health food. While they do contain some beneficial nutrients, they're extremely high in omega-6 fatty acids.